Hello everyone, and welcome to a review of something that I waited for pretty much my entire childhood for. I am talking about Dragon Ball Xenoverse. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be sitting there out there saying that, Rich, you're not a child anymore, but I know this, but the nostalgia runs deep within, so way too much for me not to play this. Now, as always, we're going to break this game down for you into three parts. The three parts that we have chosen for this are the story, the character design, and the combat. This primarily being a fighting game, the combat is the thing that really has to impress and do well. But enough of all that. I think it's time now to put on our Saiyan armor, clip on our scouters, and check the power level of this game. Now, as I said at the start of the video, I did wait for this game my entire childhood. I mean, I used to watch Dragon Ball Z on the telly all the time, and always used to sit there and remember thinking to myself, I wonder what it would be like if I was in there. What kind of powers would I have? What kind of, what would I look like? Things like that. And yes, I freely admit that I was a fairly sad child for thinking that, but this game gives you the opportunity to choose from 5 different races. Each race has their own stats and perks, but we'll get into that in a minute. The races you can pick are Human, Saiyan, Margin, Namekian, and Frieza's race. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of Frieza's race. Now, I know there was a Dragon Ball Z game that came out a while ago, way before this, that you did get to create a character, but from what I understand from feedback and reviews and things, it was pretty terrible. I never played it, but from what I can understand, this game here was the saving grace for a lot of the anime fans that thought the same things that I did. Now, as you can see here, we're just going to go and quickly make a Saiyan. That's what I decided to record to emphasize the character design and things. Now, they don't give you too much to choose from, but it's not that bad considering they give you 5 races, as I said, to choose from. Each race has its different stats and perks, whereas Saiyans will have high attack but low health, and Namekian's race will have high health and regeneration, but poor attack power. Now, when picking your race, you kind of have to think hard about it. Sadly, they don't have any transformations for the Namekian, Margin, or the Frieza races. They got nothing. The Human only gets Kaioken, and basically the Saiyans you get Super Saiyan 1 and Super Saiyan 2, and with those you can also get Super Saiyan Vegeta and Super Saiyan Vegeta 2, Super Vegeta 2, which is weird because they give you increased stat abilities. So I think it's slightly unfair when you're when you have that as a power-up for one race, but not really any of the others. Now, of course, I know that a lot of you out there, like myself, would always pick Saiyan. I have a couple of friends that picked Namekian and the Martian race. Nobody that I know has picked Frieza's race, which is kind of weird considering they are pretty OP in the anime. Now, as you can see, the design gives you a rather wide range of colours to pick from hair colour and style and clothes colour, and you don't really get to pick your clothes style at the moment. But you do there's a very wide range of things to choose from when you start the game, and you progress through the story, which we'll get into in a minute. You get different outfits and things that you can see from all of your favourite characters from the Dragon Ball Z universe. Sorry for the shortness of the talking about character design and things, but there's not really that much to choose from at the start, so I thought the best thing to do is to just show you me making a Saiyan and slight Frieza's race, and then we're just going to crack straight on to the next part, which is the story. Now, if any of you out there are like me and some of my friends, we are massive fans of Dragon Ball Z, well, the anime at least, you'll most probably love the story to this game. It felt very much at home in the Dragon Ball universe. Now, the game has been out for quite a while, I'm going to say, so I'm not too worried about giving away too much of the story, but in case you haven't played it, then spoilers ahead, guys. So the story revolves around an evil duo called Mira and Toa, and they're manipulating the timeline in the future to cause all sorts of badness to occur. So the Supreme Kai of Time sends Future Trunks to investigate. Future Trunks then makes a wish and asks Shenron to send him a hero who can help fix it all, and this just so happens to be, you guessed it, you. You spend the game going through all the battles you loved in the anime, but sometimes with a few changes, and fighting alongside some of your all-time favourite Z fighters. As the story unfolds and you keep thwarting Mira and Toa's plans at every turn, you begin to find out that there's another bad guy waiting to spring into action. And his name, of course, is Demigra, the demon god. Man, I tell you, there is zero rest for time patrollers like us. Okay, now we move on to the big one, the combat. As this is primarily, as I said, a fighting game, I think that this is the most important one. So let's start off with how the characters move and feel in combat. For the most part, it feels very good. It's smooth, and each stage isn't limited like most other fighting games, like a side-scroller or whatever. No, it gives you a fair amount of freedom and quite a wide range of the stage to fly around and do what you need to do to give yourself a little sense of freedom. The game also gets rid of some of the things in previous games which made it feel like an interactive movie, which I personally didn't like. So it's nice to see that in this one you have near enough full control over your character and the moves that you do. With all that being said though, there are still some drawbacks. Sometimes you'll find yourself facing the wrong way from an enemy and you won't be able to turn around and punch at the same time. You're kind of just stuck there punching thin air, facing the way you are facing, not where the enemy's facing. But I will say it doesn't happen too often to raise concern or even to be a major issue. It's just me nitpicking. Now as you can see, I'm just kind of beating the hell out of Cell here because I thought that was the easiest way to show off the combat, because this is quite a long fight and it's kind of got all the little good bits and some of the bad bits in it as well. So this is kind of just to showcase everything. The combat also does a pretty good job of kitting your character out with a wide variety of super attacks, evasive skills, ultimate attacks, clothing that you find and boost some of your stats, and so you're freely able to make the Z fighter that you always wanted to make back when you were, watching the anime as a kid or whatever. Now, like I said earlier, the game can be unfair if you want to play as a Saiyan or human, as they both get power-ups, as I said, in transformations. Being human, obviously, as I said, you get Kaioken, and if you're a Saiyan, you're able to use Kaioken and Super Saiyan 1 and 2, but the other races get nothing, so it's kind of unfair, especially in a situation like this, where I can imagine if you were an Namekian, you might have a bit more of a trouble than, say, I had as a Saiyan. The special attacks look great. They did a really good job in making them feel very close to the series, and there's a wide range to choose from, whether you want to fight up close and personal, or you want to keep some distance. But the bread and butter of this game, so to speak, is the ultimate attacks. These are the moves that make you feel like a complete badass, and if you're anything like me, and you try to get the fights to as close to the series, where you wait and have a brawl and then finish them off with one almighty ultimate attack, whether it be a super Kamehameha, a final flash, or a special beam cannon, or maybe some of the moves that are a little less well known within the anime. Either way, there's definitely something for everybody in this game to make any fan of the series feel like they're a part of it. Now, I will say the game isn't perfect. It has a few issues, especially when it comes to some of the enemies, as the game gives them this weird super armor like you can see here that Cell's using on me. It doesn't matter how much you punch them, use your specials, or even some of the ultimates on them. It doesn't phase them. They don't get stunned or anything. You can barely hurt them. But they can knock you out of any move you're doing aside from evasive skills. And that happens a lot in the later stages. So I would tell you guys to beware of that. Also, I know this is going to sound like nitpicking, but I hate this 15-minute time limit that every single battle has. It's so frustrating when trying to get a skill that you need and you have to beat an enemy and they fall and you think, yes, I've done it. Finally, I've got this. Nope, because they'll get back up and they'll fly away, which is really frustrating, especially when it's Goku and Vegeta. Now, there's a certain stage, and if any of you have played this, the stage is they come back in their next Super Saiyan form and it goes right up to God mode. So you've got to beat them both at the same time, and Goku goes Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, 4 and God, and Vegeta goes Super Saiyan 1, 2, 4 and God. Count them, that's 9 enemies in 15 minutes, and they're 9 strong enemies as well in 15 minutes. It's not really possible when you're sat playing by yourself with one character and you've got to take on those 2 at the same time. Now, even with those 2 issues, I think it's not enough to hurt this game too much. At times, yes, it can be frustrating, but hey, what good game at times isn't frustrating? When all is said and done, I still play this game now, and yes, Xenoverse 2 is coming out very soon. So, if any of you guys want to join me, Bob, or Danny, let us know in the comments below, as we'll be clearing up the timeline again, and we'd love for you guys to join us and play it with us. Anyway guys, you all know that we don't do the numbers rating here, we just say to get it or not. if you're a fan of the Dragon Ball Z anime, this is a must-have. I'm sorry, it is. But if you're not a fan, but you like fighting games, I would say pick it up. You can probably pick it up quite cheap now, and it's a well-rounded, fast-paced, smooth fighting game. I think you'll enjoy it. As always, special thanks to Bob and Danny for helping with this video. Hope you all enjoyed the review. Give us a sub so you don't miss the next review. Take it easy, and we'll see you all soon.